Okay, we just began the Perek Lulav Gozel Yavish Pasal Shalashirish and Yidachas, and basically the Mishnayos go through each one of the four minim. Each one of the four minim, it goes through now Hadas Gezula, and then it's going through Arava Gezula, then Esru Gezula. So each one, and so each one has a little knach that it adds that the other one didn't have, or else you could have gone ahead and assembled them in one Mishnah. But the fact that it's a separate thing is and tonight we're not going to discuss already. We know the reason for Gezula. Right, Gezula, the first night you need lochem, we'll kach them lochem. Second night mitzvah ba'avera, right? Mitzvah ba'avera. We know the hodor is we make a hekesh creates hodor. We makish the other three minim to esrig, and therefore you need hodor. And if it doesn't have hodor, it's going to be what unacceptable. And therefore that's the reason for hodor. So yavesh is if yavesh it's not hodor. Shalashera shalinidachas. We said it's kutute michtash shiura. You don't have the share. It's like it's oimed lisrate, so you don't have to shear. So the Gemara is not going to discuss that. It's said it by lulav, who then by hadas as well. So we'll see the other inyanim that it's going to discuss. Says the Mishnah again. We're on the Mishnah on Lamed Beis. Lamed Beis says hadas hagozel by yavesh pasol. The hadas that is stolen, right? We said again lachem. And the second day is Yontif mitzvah ba'avera, v'hayavesh is missing hadar, it's dried out, puzzle. Shalasher v'sholini dachas, if it's a tree that was served for Avodah Zarah, b'imei Moshe, and there in dachas, that the rove of the city was over Avodah Zarah, the whole thing is lisroif, everything in the city is to be burnt, and so therefore you don't have the shear, puzzle. Nekdam roishai, if the top is lopped off, nifitzu olav. Again, these are the same things we had by lulav. By lulav nifitzu olav, it was off. By lulav, it was off and reconnected. Over here, it's off totally. Oishayanova merubois may olav. There's as opposed to lulav, which is a palm branch which has no, the dates are a separate entity from the palm branch. The hadas has berries, guys. If there's more berries than leaves, then it's puzzle. However, in the imiaton, if you go ahead and diminish them, you go ahead and take off the berries till you have more leaves than berries, then kasha. Don't do it. Yontif will be a din of taking monomach, a patish, a shvus rabban, you're fixing something. We can see some pictures. If you want to look at page 108, if you want to look at 108, we'll see some pictures quickly. First picture, obviously Yavesh, you don't need a picture for. Nekdam Roishay, the picture on the left is lopped off. Nifitzu Olav is the bottom left. You see the Nifitzu Olav, or you see the berries on the top, the little black berries, because it's dafka blackberries, guys. Green berries not considered a pre yet, so therefore part of the leaves. It's only blackberries. There's little round blackberries. Excuse me? I don't know if it's a din of hodar. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's I'm not sure the psula of olav. I don't know the psula of it, you don't have the, maybe it's not that's not hadas till it. I don't know. I'm not saying it could be. Okay. Let's see. Now it's important to realize that the Torah does not tell us exactly what the minim are. It doesn't say in the Torah you should take a lulav and an esrig and a dasim and a ravis. It doesn't say that. It says creates hodar, kapos tamarim, anafetz avos va'arvei nachal. Now we had a mesorah that these are the four minim. In other words, there's never a havamina that there's anything but those. There's a mesorah. We're trying to speak out. There's a mesorah. Those are the four minim. But in the words itself, we see that what they are. We saw by kapos tamarim, it has to be something that grows kofas like tide. And again, it's not any part of the lulav tree. It's only the middle. It's only the middle, the lulav before it spreads out, because then it's kofas, then it's tide. Creates hadar. We can discuss the beauty of an esrog. By hadassim, it says the word anaf eitz avos. Now, what does that mean? Anaf eitz avos. It's the naf of an eitz avos. And avos seems to me like a braid. It's that if you look at, as we see, we know that the hadas, the bottom of the hadas touches the tip of the next, and that goes all the way up, right? In the Meshulish, we'll see that this evening. As a matter of fact, we'll see it right now. So, says the Gemara. Tan Rabbanan. It says in the Torah, Anaf eitz avos she'anafaf choifim es eitzai. Its branches cover its eights. If you look at any hadas, you can't see the wood. You can't see the wood because it's being covered by the leaves, right? You can't. The ezehu, what is that? Havayim is the hadas. That's the so anaf eights means that the branch, guys, the branch is covering eights. It's covering the eights. You hear the way he's darshaning. The anaf eights. The branch is covering the eights. Fred Gemara ve'ema zeisa. Let's say it's what it's. Why not say the zayis? The olive. Being an avos veleka, even though it covers the eights, you need avos, you need that braided look, and it doesn't have it. The aim of dulva, that's some type. Again, the Gemara goes through again. Anytime the Gemara says something until you get to the final answer, the Gemara knew all along. The Gemara always analyzes it. This is analyzation of Rami. The Gemara says, "Why do you?" I'm not going to say again, but why? How do you know? How did the pasuk? The pasuk is not a samachta. It is, that's what it means. There was a mesorah, but the pasuk means that. But the Gemara always analyzes pasuk means that. It means this, right? Or else Gemara we can make it precisely this, that, right? Like you told your Rabbi, why do I have to know all this stuff, right? Right. And bottom line is that's it. So anyway, what?
This is that like when you buy it, they have this different gold and different.
Close ones.
This is good. That's good.
What are you talking about? By Hadassim?
Hadassim.
The main thing, not a Ravis. Ravis is the most easiest thing. Hadassim, the problem is mishulish. It's very hard to get. You're just getting it. Hang in there. We'll get there. Okay, we'll get there. Let's hang in there. And within the next few minutes, we'll answer your question. Okay. So now, even though the zayas has leaves that cover the branches, they're not avos. They're not that braided look, right? The ema dulva. I have no idea what a dulva is. There's a picture of it over there. I don't know. It looks like a Venus flytrap. I don't know what it looks like. A chestnut. Dulva enough of that even though it's a braided look, I guess you don't have the branch covering the eights. The ema hirduf. Now hirduf is very interesting because hirduf, according to Rashi, guys, hirduf is some type of leaf that is poisonous. We had it in Gemara in Chulin. They feed it hirdufni. They fed it that the animal is going to die if it eats this hirdufni. The ema hirduf, I guess that would have both. In other words, it's braided look and it covers the leaves, covers the branch. Rabbi, darcher darchino and veleka. You'll have darcher darchino and veleka because it's very spiky. See, you're going to go ahead and use it. You're going to hold on to it. It's going to go ahead and penetrate your hand. It's thorny. I saw a shot to when you swing it, you're going to be bashing the guy next to you. Like, I'm saying, yeah. Fred says the Gemara, Rav Amar Yichacha, ha'emes v'hasholem ahevai. Ha'emes v'hasholem ahevai, that Rashi says that it's not emes, it's not shalom because it's going to bring death. It's going to bring death. It's poison. So that's the pasuk that he learns it from. So that's why. So we've gone ahead and we've established that it is. It's right. It's a hadas. It's hadas. Okay, so you see the picture of the hirduf, the left, upper left. It's like it's braided. It's covered, right?
So you would have thought that these things would be.
You might think again, based upon since the Torah doesn't spell it out, you might say it fits the boxes of the pasuk. Mashmal and that nothing. Tanrabanan, kilua kimin kliya. It's like braided. V'doimel shal shelesh. It looks like like a chain. Zoha das. That's the das. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov Omer. Anafetz avoitz. Eitz shetam eitzoi upir shava. It's an eitz that the leaf and the eitz taste the same. So this is another reason why it's the anaf. We say it by two other things. We say it by esrig and we say it by pepis. We had it in we had pepis in Yuma. Tana eitz avois kasha usheina avis pasal. If it's braided, it's kasha. Not braided, it's pasal. Hechi dami avis. What exactly is braided? Amrav Yehuda v'hu dekaima tilsa tarpe bikina. 3 in one can. 3 in one nest. Now look at Rashi, guys. You think you know what braided means according, like you read the words 3 in one nest, and you're thinking like we have, right? Look at Rashi. Rashi doesn't say that. Tilsa bechad kina. Shloisha alin, 3 leaves, bekan echad, in one kan. Yoitzin mitoich oikitz echad. It comes out of one oikitz. Guys, take a look at page 110. Take a look at the bottom picture. 110, bottom right. Take a look at that picture. All you guys have it, right? You see what it looks like? That's not what we have.
No.
Yeah. If we'd have to have that, we'd all be in trouble. Where are you going to get? You see what it looks like?
Did you see the eights over
No,
there?
no. I'm saying this is not it. But I'm saying, I guess it's covered up. He's just illustrating in the picture.
Guys, is this tree? Yes.
This doesn't exist. This doesn't exist. Take a look at Taisus. Says Taisus, he brings in Rashi, right? The Chaim Pirish Treva, okay. And now says Taisus, right? The Chumra Gedailahu, this is a tremendous Chumra, the Eina Matzoi. You can't find it. You can't find it. Vishema Bechad Kina Mikri, Kishahim Smuchim, when they're next to each other, Udvukim Zeh Bezeh, Afapishakol Echad Ba'iktsai, even though all its own oikits. Bottom left, guys. Bottom left. That's our hadas is Taisus hadas, guys. Bottom left. That's it. And again, the fact that you could see it, they just pulled it away. You'll see. But you see, it's all in its own oikits. It all comes out. It's on 3 sides. It's not one oikit. It's not 1 point. This is very good, illustrated. Very good, guys. They disagree in the meaning of the words. Not Mitzias. Yes. So again, Rashi don't like this. I don't know if Rashi saw it. I don't know.
So it says chumra means that.
To find it, no, to find it. As is Hadassah is a Hadassah. Mendy is bothered by Mendy's like not angry. I wouldn't say he's angry about it. I would say these little, yeah, you just like a little. I don't know. You miss Uncle Elliot, don't you? your comrade. My uncle used to be in Shia till he died. Like anyway, so yeah, but anyway. Okay, now so according to Rashi, it's 3 and 1, and Taisus it's 3 and the same level. Rav Kana Amar Afilu Trei V'Chad. Again, according to Rashi, guys, page 111. Afilu Trei V'Chad. You have 2 and 1 like it's in 1 watt separate. And the Rav Achabrei, the Rav Mehadar Trei V'Chad, he wanted to keep the words of his Rebbe, and he looked for that. Not that 3 is not that 3 is bad, but even 2. V'nothing pum be'afkana, because Soil v'nothing pum be'afkana, so he was looking for 2 and 1. Amalei Mabar Ameimar l'Ravashi Abba, my father Rema lahu hadash shaita karl. He called this hadash shaita. You know, a shaita doesn't walk a straight line. So therefore, that's one of the reasons it comes from a dash shaita. The shaita doesn't walk a straight line. The das is kishura. Okay, Tanabanan. Nashru roiv olav. Let's say the majority of the leaves are missing. You know, bottom left 111. Majority of the leaves are missing. Finishtayir b'miyat, and a little bit is left. Kosher. Provided the braid is still intact. Fred the Gemara question. 1 second. The braid you're telling me is the 3 going up. It looks like a little shalshelis, right? Hakufa kasha. I'm not all of you telling me the majority of the leaves are missing. Kasha. Provided that what? That it's the braid is intact. How's it possible? Keep the natural tray, right? Once you lose 2 of the leaves, you don't have avos. How can it be? So, and again, the roiv is 2. I'm going to buy a mishkachas la amar aleph the asra mitzrah. Take a look, guys, at the bottom left. There you go. This hadas mitzrah. It had 7 leaves in one kan in one level. So Rashi brings 2 pshatim. Either it's from the meitzer from the boundary, or if it came from Mitzrayim. So if you have 7, what's roiv of 7? 4. What are you left with? Kasha. Very good. Very good math.
That would be kosher. 7, the whole
7. You take away.
No. If the whole thing was 7,
why not?
It's 7. I thought that'd be mishulish. This is more than mishulish.
I think this, if the svara is correct, that it doesn't say mishulish. It says it has to look like a braid. So Ken Zion that if it has that look, it's covered up. If it fits the the boxes are not fake voice, right? It's covered and it's braided looking. So, so I never saw anything look this good. Think of that picture, and you never saw it, and Adas look that good. The kaima shiva shiva b'chad kina. The chinatri arba pashlu tilsa. If four leave, you're left with what? You're left with 3. If 4 you leave, you're left with 3.
If you're able to figure out all these criteria, then they could technically have something else for Hadas.
Like, but these are. So the question is, this is Hadas, right? This is a Hadas. So that's what Gemara says right now. Amar Rabbi Shema Mino Hai Asa Mitzara Kosher. You're telling me that what? This Heshi, that this Adas Mitzura is Kosher, meaning as is. Kosher Shana says Pshita. Why not? Why not? Again, that's the same as Shulish in the Torah.
No.
You're asking Shulish just based upon.
That's
That's
the way it is.
the way I'm saying. But again, we're learning the Gemara now. We're bite-eyes. Avram, you hear? You hear what he's saying? This, you arrive at something at the end. This is the process of getting there.
So most often you see 2.
Never. It's not good. It depends where. It depends where. Let me just finish up. Since it has what? A surname. Since that's a surname. Guys, remember we had Gemara earlier? We said we have Mora the Agma. Is it good for Mora or not? Right? Mora the Agma. Why you thought when the Torah says Mora, it's Makbar on Mora. So you can have a Levoy. It's not right. And we answered one of the times, no, it is Mora. It happens to be Agma, but it's Mora. So in other words, this Ken Zayin, this is a das. It has to be a sign. But no, but the Torah never says a das. Surname's not a problem over here. Guys, look at me. When's a surname a problem? When the Torah tells me X and you say X1. The Torah never said X over here. The Torah just said Anafetz Avos. So that's where it says Pshita. Fred the Gemara. What's the Havamina of the Gemara? Says Fred the Gemara. Kamashlan Veimachinami. Says the Gemara Einachinami. Look at Taisus Tema. My son can I do from Mislay Mishum Shelevai. Why would you think it's possible? Maybe Adas Ksiv. It doesn't say Adas Bikra. I feel here do Machshir and Ilav Mishum Ksiv. Guys, do you be able to use the hirduf if not for the Dachinayam? It doesn't say Hadas in the Torah. You guys, Taisus doesn't even understand the Gemara's Havamina. In other words, you understand this is if it fills the definition. If it's enough eitz avos, if it covers the wood and what it looks like a braid, you're good. Yeah. So why would you think that what just because it has a shem lavaya, it's not good, right? Doesn't make any sense. And says the Gemara. Eitz avos amrachmanim mikol makom. It says eitz avos mikol makom. Tanabanan yavshu roif olav v'nisharu by shloisha badei olin. If most of it is dried out and you have 3 stems that remain, Rashi gives you a picture. This is my big machlokes. Let's look at Rashi. Rashi is on top left on 112. See, most of it's dried out, but you look at all the way in the top where that red arrow is, it's good. That would be okay. It's got to be what the head of each one. Okay. Okay. The Hadassim, the problem is the following. To get that Meshulish that we want, it starts at the top, and most of the time it's okay. Until you start going down. The farther you get down, the farther apart it gets. So how many centimeters do you need to be Yaitza? So we said that the shear is 3. We said it's 30 centimeters. 30 centimeters. Yeah, we said 40 centimeters for the lulav, 30 centimeters for the dasim. 3 tefachim versus 4 tefachim. That's the shear. That's how long it has to be. Now, question: the hidur of when you speak hidur means it's mishulish the farther as far as you can get. That's not all the time. Again, this is a din in hidur mishulish. You need a certain amount, to be mishulish. That's where it gets into the sheet of the chazanish and various things. So that's where people are makbid. That's where you get the hidur of buying hadassim that are in Eretz Yisrael. In Eretz Yisrael, it's really nice. One of the beautiful things about Sukkot in Eretz Yisrael is people just don't go to, they just don't buy a set. You go, you buy a lulav one place, you buy an esrog another place, you go check. It's a nice thing to do. It's a very, very nice thing to do. Right? It's not really national. Hanukkah is a national holiday because even the Chilonim keep Hanukkah, but it's really nice. It's in the shuk. It's the yeshiva bachram. It's very nice. Unfortunately, I was supposed to go this year. Okay, got the gloves. Tana Ula Barchinna Nektar Moshe. Let's say the top guys get slapped off. For Olsaba Tamra, and Tamra grows. Take a look at page 113. Hard to see. You knock the top off, and what grows is Tamra means that probably the berry grows. Okay, to understand this Gemara, I have to give you a little hakdama. Guys, listen up. Listen very, very well. We've learned a lot of kachim. We learned pesachim. We learned yuma. If you go ahead and take a female sheep that's a year old and does not have a mum, and you say, this should be my carbon pesach, by now we all know that that's not acceptable because it's got to be a male. It's got to be a male, right? That is called dachui meikara. It was out of the ballpark. It was out of the ballpark. Good. Not only is it out of the ballpark, it can never get in the ballpark. Zero. It can't get in the ballpark. It's gone. It's gone. That's called dachui meikara. I used to call it dichui. Then there is where you're in the ballpark, then you're out of the ballpark, you're in the ballpark. I'll give you a classic example. You have two goats. You're going to bring them for one's going to be Lashem, one's going to be what for the Azazel. You shech the one for Azazel, for the Shem. You spill the blood. What do? Start over again. What do you do with the Azazel? Right? You go ahead. It's a chatas. You let it graze. It's chatas tzibur, whatever. It was in the ballpark when its mate was alive. Once its mate is gone, it's gone. Nira v'nidcha. Good. Now, what about nira v'nidcha v'chazeh v'nira? What about it's out, it's in, and it's out? It's in the ballpark, then it's out of the ballpark, then it's in the ballpark. What's the din? So that's what we're discussing. In other words, you want to know, is this din of dichoy a din only by kachim, by karbanis, like I mentioned, or no? Does it exist by other mitzvahs also? What's the case? The case over here would be with the berries. If it has berries, it's out of the ballpark. You take off the berries, it's in the ballpark, right? So in other words, that's going to be the shiloh over here. This concept of paralleling the idea of dichui by or dachui by karbanis to leaves, to berries. Okay, that's what we're discussing. Okay, so we're up to Lamed Gimel Lamed Aleph. Lamed Gimel Lamed Aleph, the two dots. Tana Ula Barchinna Neptam Roishai v'Olsa by Tamra. You cut off the top, guys. So when you cut off the top, it's gone, right? It's out of the ballpark. Good. Now, also but Tamra, it's back in the ballpark, right? Yes. Kosher. Boy Rav Yirmiyah. Neptam Roishai me Erev Yontif. If it was out, it was cut off. What? Erev Yontif. So Erev Yontif, it's out of the ballpark. For also by Tamra be Yontif, and it grew its berry on Yontif, so now it's back in Mahu. Yesh dachay etzel mitzvahs or loy? Is there a din of dachay etzel mitzvahs or not? If there's a din of dachay, since it was out of the ballpark when Yontif came, when the mitzvah came, or no? Do we say no? This ain't dachay etzel mitzvahs, and now that it has its berries and it's kosher, it's kosher. Is it a din unique to Gabanis and no? Or no, we apply it even to mitzvahs. That's the shaila. Is it unique to Gabanis, or we apply it what? Even to what mitzvahs. Okay. Let's see Rashi, just lashon. But also by Tamra B'Yontif, Mishenegad, that when only if there was tied, the Betolish Nami Solak Bay. Solak the Bay. The Betolish also Solka Bay. It's also would have been okay, I guess. Yesh dochui etzel mitzvahs, kloimar. No heges teiras dochui etzel mitzvahs, kishem shnei hages etzel kabanis. The nira v'nitcha, if it was in the ballpark, v'nitcha and out of the ballpark, mishenishchata, amit yitcha, we'll say it's out. The sulay hadach chazi, Hachanami hoil v'nitcha kishenektam. Once it was out of the ballpark when it was clipped off, sulei hada michse can't come back in. But Aliyas tomorrow when it grew, it's a fruit. V'hashtalei dayik bein dichim meikara l'nir l'nitcha. We're not making a distinction between what dichim meikara was out of the ballpark and then it was in the ballpark and got in. The haydin nektam meyantiv yodlei me'olam. When it was nektam when it was erev yontif when it was cut off l'nir b'yolam. That's dichim meikara. Nektam Roisha, guys, is like the female sheep. It's out. At the time when Yontif came, when the Chiyav came, this is a female sheep, out. Nektam Roisha, out. That's Dichem Eikara. But Dichem Eikara is Dichem, it's out, and then what? Nero would be if it had its crown cut off and then grew it back. That would be Nira, Nitcha, Venira. Okay, so now the Gemara wants to, so what's the Shaila? Says the Gemara, what's your shaila? Let's be posh if I did in the kisi adam. In the kisi adam, if you shech a chaya and a bird, you have to cover the dam. In the kisi adam. Kisoya, let's say you cover the dam, finis gala, and the dam gets what now revealed. You did the mitzvah already. You physically did it, even though it comes revealed again, you don't have to do it again. Kisei ruach. Let's say you didn't do it. Let's say the wind blew and the dust blew onto the blood, so you didn't do it. Good. Chayav l'chasos. Chayav. V'omar Rabbi Rav Chana, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, lo yishanu el shechozav v'niskala. That's only if it wind blew the other direction and got it off. In other words, only if the blood became revealed again are you chayav. Aval lo chazar, if it does not become revealed v'niskala pat milchasos. Good. In other words, when it was the blood before it was covered, there was a mitzvah to cover it. When the wind went over it and covered it up, you can't do anything. It's nitcha at that point. When it becomes revealed again, then there's a mitzvah to go ahead and cover it. Good? So what do you see? That we don't say dochi esel mitzvahs. Because if you say dochi esel mitzvahs, as soon as the wind covered, it's done. It's out. By the fact that you have to go ahead and cover it again, we see that the fact that it was covered at one point in time does not mean it's out of the ballpark. So just because nektam roishay does not mean it's out of the ballpark. When it goes back and becomes revealed, why you have to cover it again? Since when it was covered by the wind, it's gone, it's gone.
Is it
Papa?
or is it meant to be covered?
Well, for you to cover it. Papa, meres ein dochli eitzel mitzvahs. Because in other words, at the point where it's covered, then no longer is the mitzvah to cover it. It's out. You can't cover it something that's covered. So therefore, what do you see? Ein dochli eitzel mitzvahs. In other words, guys, we have a shaila outside. What's that shaila? We know there's a din of dochli by what? By kabbanis, by kachim. Shaila is it by other mitzvahs also, and we're applying it to what? The din of hadas. We're nektam roishay. It's out of the ballpark when it's clipped. It grows a berry. It's back in. We want to know: is there a din of dochli there or not? Says the Gemara. I'll prove to you that there's no din of dochli because we see by kisei adam there's no din of dochli. What's the din of kisei adam? You're supposed to cover it. The wind covers it. At that point in time, is there a mitzvah of kisei adam? No, it's covered, right? The wind now uncovers it. You have to cover it again. Why do I have to cover it again? It was covered. It was out of the ballpark at that time. Ella, what do you see? By mitzvahs, we don't say dachli. So who would by nektam roshai? If it goes ahead and grows a crown, it's good. Okay, says the more very good. The Rav Papa Gufa mi boile. Rav Papa Gufa was a shaila to Rav Yirmiyah. Mivshap shitale de ein dachi etzal mitzvahs. Loishna lekula v'loishna lechumra. Aydilma sfuki mesafkele lechumra minan lekula le'aminan. Okay, cool. Guys, outside. Guys, look at me, please. What's the difference between kisei hadam and sukkah and hadasim? By kisei hadam, is it a kula or a chumra? Let's go through it. I have a mitzvah to cover the dam, right? It now goes ahead what? And is covered up. You took away my mitzvah, right? I don't have mitzvah anymore. Good. It becomes uncovered. Now it's a chumrah to make me go back and cover it again, right? Oh, what about the berry? What about the nektam raishai? Nektam raishai, it's out of the ballpark. By growing it, it's putting me back in. So that's good for the shaila. You're right. L'chumra, I agree there's a din of doichel esu mitzvahs. And you'd have a good raya from Kisi Adam, because it's a chumra to make it cover it again. My shaila is when it's a kula. Because right now, when it's nektar Moshe, can you use it? If it goes to berry, could you use it? If you could use it as a kula, absolutely, you're being makel. You're taking something that was also making a mutta.
The Chomer assumes, Rabbi, that you're only getting one mitzvah.
What? The chum means that that you have to go ahead and do something that you didn't have to do before. When it was covered.
Are you getting one mitzvah for doing two kisos?
No, you didn't. You only did one kisui. The wind did the first one. The wind did the first one. So here. In other words, what's the Gemara's kasha? Guys, we started off. We noticed the din of dichei by kabbanis. Is there a din of dichei by mitzvahs? Says the Gemara, what's this problem? Where's the dichei by mitzvahs? Nektar Moshe, and it grows a berry. Why don't you replace it from Kisi Adam? Says the Gemara, that gufa was his kasha. I know by Kisi Adam there's no din of dichei. Why? Because it's a chumrah. My shaila is the din of dichei lekula or not? That's my shaila. And by berries it's a kula. That's my shaila. Okay. And teku tishbi yitaris kushas rabayis.
You could be misaking it. In other words,
What do you mean?
The wind covered dam. So now the wind to you.
No, there's nothing to fix. There's nothing to fix. It was covered. The blood was covered. The mitzvah was done. It's not done already. That's what it means. It was done. When it's cut,
you can't fix it. It is what it is.
You're making a distinction. But I go on a question. If you would uncover it, you'd be pata. And it's in your things that you can do something. If you uncover it, doesn't make a difference how it gets uncovered. You still be pata, unless only it's covered by the wind. When it's covered, it's covered. It's no mitzvah anymore. Okay. Anyway, says the Gemara. Let's say this din is a machlokas tanaim. We've had this before. Let's say this is machlokas tanaim. Ava v'lokdan. You had these berries, guys, and what have you said? You shouldn't go ahead and now, guys. When is that talking, fellas? On Yontif, you should not go ahead and take off the berries. By taking the berries off on Yontif, what are you doing? You're being metakin mana. You're fixing something, right? Mm-hmm. What happens if you do it? Is it good or not? Avav lokten pasol. Divrei Rebbe Elazar ben Tzadok. The Chacham machshirim. Now, we're going to get into three factors over here, guys. One, whether you need, do you learn lulav from sukkah? Just like sukkah, there's a din of tasev v'lo min asoi. Remember the haystack, you hollow it out. So too by lulav, there's a din of tasev v'lo min asoi. Meaning, if I made the eged bipsul, let's say I put it together, I put my adasim and rubbers together. The adasim have too many berries. At that point in time, it's puzzle, right? If you would take them off, that would be a tassiv eliminasi problem, right? The same way you hollowed out and you ended up over here also. In the state of the mitzvah, you pulled it off. In addition, there's a machloikis whether you have to put them on or not, whether it's eged or not. Good. So those are, and the third factor is dochli or not. So three factors. One, tassiv eliminasi. Two, do you need eged or not? Meaning, do you need that adasim rav is bound to the lulav? And three, is there a din of dochli by mitzvah or not? So let's say it's machlokas tanayim. Says Rabbi Elazar Tzaddik, if you take off the leaves, if you take off the berries, it's puzzle. Says the Chacham, it's kasha. Now, Savru Kuli Alma, both Rabbi Elazar Tzaddik and the Chacham hold, lulav ain't tzarech eged. A lulav does not need eged, meaning you don't have to go ahead and tie them together with that lulav. Then Tim Tzaloim et tzarech eged. If you can tell me you have to tie the das and rose in the eged, lo yalfina lulav misukkah. You don't learn that lulav misukkah. So you won't have a problem of tasav leimin asad. The chsiv be tasav leimin asad. My lab b'hakamifli. Okay, in other words, guys, tasav leimin asad is not a problem. Eged's not a problem. Okay, so what's the only problem? Dichli. Again, the three factors, right? There's three possibilities. So if tasav leimin asad is not a problem, and eged's not a problem, so the only problem is dochi or not. So it must be. Why does Rabbi Elazar ben Tzaddik hold? He must hold that what? That there is a din of dachi, it's a mitzvahs. So once Yontif came and you had berries on it, it's too late, it's gone. And therefore it's puzzle. And the Chacham said, no, ain't dachi, it's a mitzvahs. And therefore what? It's kosher. Oh. What? You're at the time you did the Aver, you didn't do the mitzvah. You're asking a good question. At the time you did the Aver, you didn't do the mitzvah. No, you took the berries off, but you didn't do the mitzvah. Says the Gemara, Leimer b'hakamifli, the man that puzzles Sava, Amrin and Yesh Dacha Yetzal Mitzvahs. The man who puzzles Elazar ben Tzaddik says, Yesh Dacha Yetzal Mitzvahs. Uman the Machshas Sava, Leimer and Yesh Dacha Yetzal Mitzvahs. So since at the time it was on top of the lulav, right? The reason why it's no good, according to Elazar ben Tzaddik, is because it's out of the ballpark. Why is it out of the ballpark? Because Yontif came and it was there, and that's it. It's too late. Now, the obvious way to go avoid this is to go play with the other two factors. They could be arguing whether you learn lulav from sukkah, or they can argue whether you need eged or not. Okay, so there's the Gemara. Like the kuliyam lo yamrin yesh dochel etzem mitzvahs. No, everyone says you say dochel etzem mitzvahs. So that's the reason. So why do Chacham say it's kosher? For Chacham the melef lulav misukkah kamiflagi. Masav yafina lulav misukkah. But Elazar ben Tzaddik says you learn lulav misukkah and you got a tasav lemin problem. Umasav and the Chacham say lo yafina lulav misukkah, and therefore there's no problem. Tasav lemin take it off, not a problem. I was maybe psul. Who cares? If you would say that lulav needs eged, meaning you need the three things together, then you learn out from lulav misukkah and you have a problem of tasav lemin asli. But hacha b'lulav tzarich eged kamifli. Machlekes is whether it needs eged or not. Ubepluk to the hani tanoim and machlekes these tanoim. The Tanya lulav a lulav bein agud. Whether you tie together the species to it, bein shein agud kasha. If you daima agud kasha shein agud pasol. My time Rabbi Yehuda Yalaf lekich lekich me agudus ezo. We had this earlier. He learns after the agudus ezos in Mitzrayim. The Chsiv Hach it says by Sukkos v'lkachnem chem yom harishoin. Chsiv Hasam v'lkachnem agudus ezov. Mitzrayim should take them down together. Mala halan just by there agudus it's tied together. In Mitzrayim Afkan agudus tied together. So again. So if you hold the lulav tzarich eged, if it needs eged, so therefore what? Then you have a problem of either dachoy or yeshtach mitzvahs or taslam nasli. If you hold it doesn't need eged, then it will be kasha. Rabbanon less l'kicha, they don't hold l'kicha. Rabbanon say you don't need eged. Whatever they do with the gzer shava what of? They don't have to gzer shava. Maybe they don't have we said earlier. The Rabbi never taught this gzer shava. Gzer shava is passed down. Man tanel Rabbanon is the time of the following the brisa. Lulav mitzvah la'agdai. A lulav it's a mitzvah to go ahead and do it. From lo yagdu kasha. Now it's a mitzvah to put the dasan v'aravis on the lulav, and if you should do it now, guys, problem. Like Rebbe Laza, if you do it, it's kasha. Like it's tzaddik. It's possible. Rabbi Yehuda says you need it. Money. Rabbi Yehuda. I meant Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda ki lo yagdu my kasha. Like Rabbi Yehuda. He says, why is it kosher if you don't tie it? He says it's a mitzvah lagdai. He learns the kich from Ezleit. Just like it was tied together in Mitzrayim, here also it's tied together. So what do you mean it's kosher? It's not kosher. Irabanan, my mitzvah ka'avi. What mitzvah did you do? L'chayr, there's no mitzvah to tie it. He says, well, you're right. It's not a mitzvah of lulav, it's a mitzvah of na'ah. L'oilam rabbanan, a mitzvah shum zeh keli van veyu. No, it's a din of snob and mitzvahs to go ahead, put it together, put a rebbesh, a nice rebbesh, you see these nice, what's that called? It's called what's that called? A kasha? A casserole? Yeah, casserole. Yeah, there are these three separate ones with two, and you put them together. All right? Yeah, rebbesh. Okay, very good shmak. Okay, the bottom line is we weren't paishud ashayla by what? By dichoy. We want to say the dichoy is tali machlekes tanoyim. We said machlekes tanoyim is between taslim and aslay, and I get it did not necessarily say. Now we say ashahoya nova meruba. Let's say it had more berries than what? Then more berries than leaves. Then it's puzzle. Amrav Chisda davazeh Rabbeinu Agadol Amroi. This thing Rabbeinu Agadol said. Now Rav Chisda is Rabbeinu Agadol. Actually says it was Rav. Usually Rabbeinu Agadol is Rebbe, the Tana Rebbe. This Rav Chisda is Rabbeinu Agadol was Rav, the Amoyra Rav. Amru havamokim yebezrei, and he also saying goes on stark. Lo yishanu el b'mokim echad. When is the berries puzzle? Only if they're in one spot. Aval b'shnayim b'shleishim b'koyim, in 2 and 3 spots, they're spread around, then kasha. So Rava Amar Rava said, what are you talking about? Shnayim b'shleishim b'koyim having menumer. If they're in 2 or 3 spots, guys, they're like a menumer. Menumer is like a leopard, right? They're a leopard, a nemer. Oz kanemer. So there's a leopard. You see the spots on a leopard? Okay. So now, Shnayim b'shleishim b'koyim having menumer upasol. El Iyadmar, if you want to learn Rav's din, Hachi Yadmar. Aishahaya Nava Meruva may olav puzzle. More berries than leaves, it's puzzle. Amrav Chisda Davazeh, Rabbeinu Agadol Amar Rav said, Vamakim Yebezroi, Lo shanu ela anavav shchayros. Only if they're black. Aval anavav yerukos, if they're green, mine hadasu, they're part of the hadas, and they look equal, and they don't prepare as menumer. Hesh, I think I would agree with you that it's a din chada. When it says on menumer over here, the black. It's not nice. It's not pretty. So therefore, if it's green, it's okay. Yeah, I think you have a picture over here if you want. What? Page 114. We got pictures. First picture that looks like little sparkles there. That will be okay. Now, Amra Papa Adumois, if they're red, they're considered like black. In other words, black is not beautiful when it comes to Adas. Okay. Okay. Anyway, so I'm being recorded. Anyway, so guys, you hear black is what is the same. Red is the same as black, right? Now we know by Damnida, it says the following: Dam Rachnina, Hai Dam Shachar Adam Hu El Shalaka. Black is red. It only got what? It got in the hit. It got you take a piece of red blood, you put on something, and next day later it looks black. Okay, so red would be what? Red would be black, would not be good. In Miyatan Kasha, if you go ahead and you diminish them, you take off the leaves, it's Kasha. Now, when are you taking off these leaves? Now, what's the Chiddush? If you're taking them before you put them on, what's the Chiddush, guys? Right? And if you take them off afterwards, then we get into the Shiloh what? Do you learn a little some sukkah? Do you have a negative problem? Okay. The Miyatunu Emas. When exactly did you take off the berries? If you're going to tell me before it became part of the kasha, whatever it's there, pshita. It's pashut that what? It's mutter. What? There was no mitzvah at all. It's just preparatory. It's like preparing anything. It's no there's no chiddush in that. El must be lebasad la'agdei. So now, if it's afterwards, so now let's prove that what? Dachi mei karahu, tifshit mina dachi mei kara lehavi dachi. Guys, when you put this on, was it out of the ballpark? Yeah, it was. It had too many berries. It had too many berries when you put it on, right? And the havamina is when it's bound together, that's the zman of the mitzvah. In other words, as soon as you bind it together on the lulav, that's the zman of the mitzvah. Now, it could be a tasav leminasa problem, but let's say, for argument's sake, we're not going to learn lulav from sukkah. Good. So now, it's dachim kara. There's too many berries, but if you take it off, it's still good. So what do you see? Let's be paisha shayla, at least that dachim kara works, even though it's a kula, right? Even though it's coming out of kula. Yeah, it's coming out of kula, right? Makes a mutter. It's coming out of kula. So now, says the Gemara, pisha el basad agdei dichim karhu tifshin mina dichim kar lavi dichay loylam basad agdei. It's speaking about after you enachinami afterwards. I ukesavar eged hasmona ba'almahu v'hasmona ba'alma lav klumu. Guys, you go ahead. You take a bag and you put tefillin in your bag. Do you know that bag has a din of tashmisha kedusha? Let's say you don't have, it could be a shiloh because you have a separate covering on the tefillin. Let's say you didn't have the separate covering on the tefillin. Has a din of tashmisha kedusha. Let's say you put it aside and say, that's going to be my tefillin bag. So if you hold hazmana milsahi, preparation is enough, it's going to have a din of tashmisha kedusha. If it has hazmana without using it, it's lav milsahi, right? So over here, it's not the zman of the mitzvah yet. You're preparing to, when's the zman of the mitzvah? In the morning, when you're lakicha, when you're going to be Yom HaRishon, you put this on the night before. You put it on the night before. Yeah? You put it on the night before. So what do you see? You see that what? That's asmana. Look at Rashi. It's a very nice Rashi here. Elabasa da agdei, Bashmina haitana, the lulav misukah lo yalfinon, lemifsaloi, right? Mishum mina asoi, bipsul, miu mishum dachi, havi le lemifsal. We should make it also because of dachi. Nikra loves Shem Ashana. It's called Ashana Psula, B'Shas Gidasa. As soon as you went ahead and put it together, it's considered. Okay, let's skip to the next one. Next Rashi. Lo'ilam Basa the Agde. V'Kasava Eged Hazmana Ba'almahu. Ein Agudasa Kriya Shem. It's not called Ashana, guys. It's not called it yet. Leo is Chalalav Shem Lulav Psul Lidchais. The Hilkach Afilu Dachi Meikar Ein Kan. It's not even considered Dochim Yekara at Sheyagdish Alav Hayoim until what? Until daytime. V'ayidenu b'psula, and it's still possible. The kivin de matas man mitzvah. Once the daytime comes, v'lekach them b'yoyim arishayin, right? Then v'leichazilei, then mikri dachay. Avlam b'kam yehachi lav dachihu. In other words, you can't be pushing your shiloh. Like guys, that's right. What do we have? You have a berry-filled hadas. A berry-filled hadas. Right now, it's no good. You put it in the eged and you take off the leaves. It is good. Let's be pushing shiloh. That what we don't learn lula from esrig, lula from sukkah, and therefore there's no problem with tasel limit asli. So the only problem would be is once it's out of the ballpark, it's out of the ballpark. It's dachli. So why do we prove by the fact if you take off the leaves, the berries, and it's still good? So pashtus that ain't dachi, it's lemitzvah. So we say dachim a karolabi dachi. Says no, not so fast. You never were in the ballpark. You were at the gate to pay admission, but you weren't in the ballpark. Friday night, Erev Yantif, what did you do? You made an eged, a kalisha, and you put it in, right? But right now you didn't get to the time of the mitzvah. You're not in the ballpark yet. So it's not even dachui. You take them off beforehand, so you can't be pushed to the shayla. It's good. Right? You can't take it off Yantif. You took it off in Yantif. But busted the Agde again. No, you took it off before Yantif. Of course, it was in the egg. It was in the egg yet already. The Havamina was the Havamina when you tied it together. That was the mitzvah already.
That's the mitzvah.
That was you created a lulav. And the answer is no. That was created. The zman of lulav in the mitzvah the next morning. But the Havamina was once you tied it together. That's considered what? That's considered dachui. Again, you're talking about the siyas mitzvah. Can you see putting the lulav and the hadas and the rabbis together as a chaloisav? It's no longer hadas, a separate hadas. It's no longer separate a rabbi. It's called hashanta. It's called hashana. That's what we call it. We call it hashana, right? When it's together, when the thing is together, it has a new name. It's called hashana. Lamed aleph amid aleph. Take a look at the top Rashi. Hashana korele al shem sheragilim la'oigdon lahashana b'chag. It's called Hashana. Okay, I want to finish up. Says the Gemara Vayta. Ve'ein ma'atim b'yontif, but in yontif you can't go ahead and be ma'ayit. So this was again, as we said before, yontif you can't go ahead and be ma'ayit. Fred Gemara ha'ova v'lochdan mai. What happens if you do it? What happens if you do it? Kasha. It would be kasha. Guys, you know how you know? Because if it wasn't kosher, why would it be usher to do on Yontif? Guys, in other words, what does tikkun mana mean? Guys, what does tikkun mana mean? You make it good, right? So obviously it must be good if you do it. So it's a kosher thing. Guys, you here, Yehudi here. If not the fact that it's kosher, then why would it be usher to do? So it must be the fact that it's usher to do that's kosher. Yeah, Chaim. So very good. So now, my kosher. Now, therefore, when's it kosher to bury at which time, guys? Green or black?
Green.
No, black. Green is good.
Oh, when is it kosher?
Right. Okay, now, so it's now the ashkar emas. When exactly did it get black? Elema the ashkar meyetmol. If you're going to say it became black from the day before Yontif, dochime karahu. It was out of the ballpark. And now you're taking it off on Yontif. So is it Zman mitzvah? And it's Zman mitzvah. Can we push the shaila that dachim eikara by mitzvahs? Tifshit mina dachim eikara dloy havi dachloi. Guys, beautiful limud, right? Now we're saying for sure that it's not hazmana. You used the tefillin bag. You had the eged. It's in together, and not only is it in together, it's in together on Yontif. And it's blackberries, and you take them off, it's kasha. So we can push it at Shaila, there's no din of dachi by mitzvahs, because you still could use it. Let's be push it to Shaila. Elalav, so therefore, and guess what? We weren't push it to Shaila. Elalav, it must be the ashka biyom toiv. So now, it came black on Yontif. So guys, 1 second. Guys, let's go through it now. Guys, what happened? Guys, look at me. Look at me. Erev Yontif, you put it in. It was good. It was nice and green. The berries were good. Good. You wake up in the morning, you got blackberries. What's the din? No good. Take off the blackberries. What's the din? Good. So it's in the ballpark, out of the ballpark. In the ballpark. That's a much bigger chiddush than dichim kara. Dichim kara means it wasn't in, and all of a sudden you arrive. Here, it was in, and you throw it out back in. It's a much bigger chiddush. So it says the Gemara. So elalav, the ashcha b'yontif. It must be that what? Erev yontif when you put it on was good. Now it's no good. And then you took off the berries. Nira, it was in the ballpark. V'nitcha, when it became black. So shmamina, that what? Nira v'nitcha, chayz v'nir. Like, l'olam the ashcha kara. Okay, now. So ashcha kara, so therefore you're going to be poished that what? Dichi kara, dochi kara, deloy havi dochi. Tifshemina, you could be poished. That shayla you could be poished. I feel the kula. But since it was only was black beforehand and it wasn't green beforehand, you can't be punched to the shayla of what? Nira v'nitcha v'nira. How are we doing? Nice Rashi over here. There are a lot of nice Rashis over here.
What about Hechsher Mitzvah?
What do you mean?
Is this Hazmona a Hechsher Mitzvah?
Of course, it's Hechsher Mitzvah, but there's no shayla about this. It's no this.
Or is it that not
Yeah.
considered as mine?
No. Tifshit mina. Divada, says Rashi. Tifshit mina. Look at Rashi. Look at Rashi. Tifshit mina. Divada idachim kara adif minira v'nitcha. Right, as I told you, vada idachim kara is more of a reason to say it's kosher, guys, than nira v'nitcha. Right, much more reason. Why? The mashlei nira lemitzvah me'olam ad achshav. Not that it didn't appear to be in the ballpark until now. Hashtu l'mischaze, so it just got entered in. V'havi ki carbon shehugdish achshav, a carbon that you magdish for the first time now. U'mitchilasei mechusas man. And it was just not 8 days old yet. So 8 days old it wasn't, and now it arrives. I think my ballpark mashal is a gewaldige mashal. Guys, what's a bigger chiddush? You didn't get into the ballpark and then you get in, or you were in the ballpark, they threw you out in the ballpark, and then you got back in the ballpark. Right? It's obvious, right? That's exactly what's going on over here. That's exactly what's going on over here. Dichamei kara, I wasn't in the ballpark. I showed up, but I wasn't right in. I'm a carbon that's less than 8 days old. I can't be bought. I'm an anaf that has blackberries. I can't be bought. Losing the reason. I'm 8 days old now. I don't have blackberries. I'm in. But Mashain came if you were in the ballpark, right? You were a carbon, and then you were nitcha, and then back and berries, blackberries, in, out, not out, green berries, blackberries, green berries. That's that kiddush you can't say.
And here it's hard to say that you already were. It's a smaller chiddush.
What?
You were in. It was a kosher.
No, so I'd say once it's kosher, I'm out, period. When Masha'in came, we never kosher. Tanabanan, ein mematin b'yontif, mishum ein mematin b'yontif. You can't go ahead and take the berries off on yontif. Mishum Rebbe Elazar Shimon Amru mematin. You could. I become a takin mana. How could you do it? You become takin mana, which is shvus. B'yontif. Rabashi could go in shalokden la'achila. You took it for a different reason. You took the berries to eat, so you weren't mechavin to go ahead and make the hashana. You were mechavin what? Rebbe Elazar Shimon Sava law kavua. He also like his father Rebbe Shimon Damar. Davashem Miskavin Mutta. Davashem Miskavin is Mutta, and therefore what it was permitted. But again, Davashem Miskavin, the classic case, you have Masechta Shabbos, you're allowed to move a bench from one place to another place, despite the fact that you're making furrows in the ground, because you weren't Mechavin. You cut off the head, it won't die. Right? So your kasha, Mandy, very good. Yehuda Horowitz, I thought you were going to ask it. That might see, when I don't see you, I know what you're thinking already. Anyway, listen to this chiddush. He has another Ashana. He doesn't need this. Davashem is kavin psikresha is over here. If I don't need it, it's not even psikresha. I don't need it at all. I just don't need it at all. But if your egg becomes mutan yontif, you know kshira, guys, not allowed to go ahead and tie on yontif, right? So what should you do? Tie it like a vegetable. Go ahead and make a bow, which would seem to be better. He holds aniva. Yehuda is of the opinion that an aniva is a full-fledged knot, and therefore you can't do it. Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yehuda, how you can do it in oged shel yerek? Rabbi Yehuda says you need yerek. Guys, We learn that from Pesach. Lakicha, right? He's the one who holds that what? You need a full-fledged egget. So how can you do with what? With just a vegetable pie? Now, again, the Tana Bryce is not locked into agreeing with Rabbi Yehuda. So he agrees with him in one and disagrees in another. He agrees with him vis-a-vis Shabbos that Aniva is a Kesher Shal Kayama, and he disagrees by Lulav. He says Lulav ain't Sarach Eged, and therefore you're good. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.